All right, welcome back to another series. We in series 23. This is Bereshith, which is Genesis. We got a few passages we skipped over. But again, I'm not here to replace your pastor, your teachers, or anybody like that. I'm not trying to force you to believe in this. Again, I just read on my own. I'm not under a teacher. I'm not studying under a pastor or anybody like that. I just, go to God, just pray. All the materials that I read, I just pray. God is love. That's what I go by. So if you can love, I mean, you wouldn't do evil, right? But other than that, let's get into it. I don't know anyone else that's doing the things that I'm doing. So this will just help you out in studying this. And then if you go out and ask if they have the original scriptures or the original word of God, there's probably no one out there that does. All right, we're moving further away in time. It's 2025 now. So the ability and things they could have found back in 1925 and things like that, we're further past that now. There's been a lot of things that have been happening, natural disasters and things like that. How are you going to get something that's, it has to be around and available for you to seek it out and get it, right? So if it's still around, we don't know. But all you have to go off of is what you have in front of you. So as we read this, we're going to see some things that um, how women affect lives of others. We're going to see about the sister here. So just tune in. And then we'll get another video out of some things that's apart from the series, but it's going to help you out. And I know it's probably taking a while before we start reading here, but that's just my style. That's what I do. But let's get into it. Chapter 34. And Dinah, the daughter of Leah, whom she had borne to Jacob, went out to see the daughters of the land. All right, that's key right here. She went out to go hang out with some other women. When a lot of women are together or they have a lot of friends, there's a lot of drama that's going on. As we seen with two wives and things like that, and there's female servants, it's a lot that's going on. So Dinah, the daughter of Leah, all right, this is the wife that Jacob did not want. All right, remember that her eyes were weak. She went out to see the daughters of the land. All right, so maybe Jacob did not want her around them or hanging around them. We don't know. We don't know the permissions that he gave them within the household. So we're going to go verse 2. And Shechem, son of Hamor, the Hivite, prince of the land, saw her and took her and lay with her and humbled her. So now here's a prince, not the sovereign. All right. Shechem, he's the son of Hamor. Now, remember in past passages where they didn't lay with the wife or the girl that they were looking at? Remember they took her in and something happened where they intervened. But this time they were able to lay with her. He was able to lay with her daughter. Remember, it's Jacob now. This is not Esau. This is Jacob. All right. So this is probably a more girly looking female because, he's not like his brother who was, hairy and, red all over, a hunter. This is different. It said humbled her. So she probably didn't think nothing would happen to her, all right? Her dad is in the blessed by God. This is the lineage now. Sometimes if you're a Christian, you may feel like nothing can ever happen to you. And then the next video we get at, we're going to show why God allowed certain things to happen. But he laid with her. She probably was a virgin. Now he took her virginity. Now they make stand. Let's go. Verse 3. And his being clung to Dinah, the daughter of Jacob, and he loved the girl and spoke kindly to the girl. So we see here, he's being kind to her, talking to her nice. He loved her. How did he love her? We don't know. He clung to her though, like it's his wife, but it's not his wife, right? He just hit. That's basically what happened. Is it fornication? How many times that we don't know? All we know is she went out to go see the daughters of the land, and then Shechem seen her. Where were they at? Were they at a party or something? Were they just at meeting? We don't know. Sometimes things happen. You may be dating a girl. She was at a party, and then she come back to you the next day, tell you, oh, she hooked up with some other guy one time thing. What you gonna do? You still gonna be with her or not? Would that make you upset? Verse 4. And Shechem spoke to his father Hamor, saying, take this girl from me for a wife. So immediately he goes back to his father. You see the male and the father. have a connection here, and he wanted her for a wife. So they're not married yet. He laid with her before they were married. He didn't know her. See, it didn't say he knew. He said lay with her. It didn't say that he know her. So it's a difference between knowing and just sleeping with each other. All right, that's key. Verse 5, and Jacob heard that he had defiled Dinah his daughter. Now his sons were with his livestock in the field. So Jacob kept silent until they came. And Hamor, the father of Shechem, went out to Jacob to speak with him. And the sons of Jacob came in from the field when they heard it. And the men were grieved and very wroth, because he had done a senseless deed in Israel by lying with Jacob's daughter, which should not be done. But Hamor spoke with him, saying, my son Shechem's being longs for your daughter. Please give her to him for a wife, and intermarry with us. Give us your daughters, and take our daughters for yourselves, and dwell with us. And let the land be before you. Dwell and move about it in it, and have possessions in it. And Shechem said to her father and her brothers, let me find favor in your eyes, and whatever you say to me I give. Ask me a bride price and gift ever so high, and I give according to what you say to me. But give me the girl for a wife. But the sons of Jacob answered Shechem and Hamor, his father, and spoke with deceit, because he had defiled Dinah, their sister. All right, so before we continue on here, we see it's a lot going on, but they're trying to buy their sister. All right, they're trying to, he's saying, dwell within the land. You can have this is the same thing God was telling them, they can dwell within the land. This is the land he gives them. They're going to be blessed. They're going to have inheritance, things of that nature, but they're trying to do the same thing. Shechem and Hamor, they coming to Jacob like they just running things. He's saying, how much you want for it, man? How much money you need? I got money. I got this. I got that. They not even married. He already smashed. He like her now. It felt good to him. Now I want your daughter. I want to marry her now. So this is bad. Looks bad to them, right? They said he had defiled Dinah, their sister. So sex before marriage is a bad thing right here. You can see that right here. That's the key point. Also, her brothers were angry. The men were grieved and very wroth, because he had done a senseless deed in Israel by lying with Jacob's daughter, which should not be done. So I said angry. They specifically says we're grieved and very wroth. All right, so you could take that as how you want to take it, but that's what they were. All right, that's exactly what they were, and because of their sister. So you see that this one girl, this one female, not because of, we don't know if she did it on purpose or not, putting herself in a position where she was vulnerable to his attack. She's not able to defend herself, it looks like, in this situation. She was humble. She probably thought it never would happen to her. And that just goes to show in life today, you may go out to a party or go out to something thinking that it's going to be all good and dandy, and, this stuff like this happens. Just because they got money, they think that they can do whatever they want, and that's not the case. So as we see here, it's a lot that's going on. You just take it all in. We see that her brothers spoke to them with deceit, and that's also key. When you believe in scriptures like this and a God that is talking about like this, you want to always tell the truth. He gives you the power to tell the truth, right from wrong. You don't want to be a liar, all right? Who's the father of a liar? Talks about Satan, the devil. All right, so as we continue on, verse 14, they said to them, we are not able to do this matter, to give our sister to one who is uncircumcised, for that would be a reproach to us. All right, so they bring up one of the commandments God has given them, to be circumcised. All right, they could have told them the matter, they defiled them or whatever, but we don't know if there's a chance of a fight going on. We don't know how big these dudes is. If this guy is that confident to take their sister with all the brothers they have, maybe Jacob has a small family. Maybe their brothers are small. Maybe Shechem and Hammer are way bigger. Maybe they like 6'7", 6'9", and then this family here is like 5'10" and below. Everybody's small. We don't know what's going on here, but they look pretty confident. Just coming up. So then they asking for, what do y'all want? Y'all want some money? Whoa, y'all need money? What's the problem? So that's something to take into consideration. So as we go to verse 15, only on this condition would we agree to you if you become as we are, to have every male of you circumcised. Then we shall give our daughters to you, and take your daughters to us, and we shall dwell with you, and shall become one people. But if you do not listen to us and be circumcised, we shall take our daughter and go. And their words pleased Hamor and Shechem, Hamor's son. And the young man did not delay to do this, because he delighted in Jacob's daughter. Now he was more respected than all the household of his father. All right, so they look like they got a deal going on. They gave him one condition, to be circumcised. The young man was happy about it. He thinking that he finna be accepted, get to have his daughter and things like that. His whole family respected him, because like, man, dang, you got that? Oh man, you good. So you thinking everything's good. So they went out, circumcised themselves, and remember, they spoke in deceit. So we finna see what's going on as we go down. And it came to be on the third day, when they were in pain, that the two of the sons of Jacob, Shimon and Levi, Dinah's brothers, each took his sword and came boldly upon the city and killed all the males. All right, that's key there. Does that sound like good? But if you read scriptures, there's also a Bible verse that said that there's a time to kill. So was this the right time to do that? All right, there's more that's going on up in here. You have to go read that before it came up to this point. But it mentions Dinah's brothers each took his sword. All right. They name them up there, and came boldly upon the city and killed all the males. They killed every male within that city. All right. How serious is that? They were not playing just because he laid with their sister. That's a huge, huge comeback. That's revenge for real. All right. Verse 26. And they killed Hamor and Shechem, his son, with the edge of the sword, and took Dinah from Shechem's house and went out. They were not playing. They came to get their sister. They were that upset. She can't get her virginity back. All right. It's gone forever. Only way she could be separated from there. Remember, they said he was clinging to Dinah. He clung to Dinah way back in verse 3. So they had to separate somehow. It says, not to death do you part, right? Verse 27. The sons of Jacob came upon thee. Let's go up here. The slain and plundered the city, because they had defiled their city. So they took everything. They plundered the city just because they defiled their sister. All right, so that's going to be key. So if you're looking to date a female, make sure it's going to be the right one. You don't want to get into this type of situation where she got brothers and things like that. They want to come at you. The brothers could be homosexual. If you're not homosexual, you definitely don't want to, deal with a sister who has brothers that's homosexual. Me, for example, I'm not homosexual. I'm not transgender. I'm not into anything like that. But I have spoken with people who are, and they're overprotective about their families. Their families are made to mate differently, and not everyone can just, join into their families. They do things differently. All right. Verse 29, in all their wealth and all their little ones and their wives they took captive, and they plundered all that was in the houses. All right. Verse 31, but they said, should he treat our sister like a whore? All right, see, they took all their wealth and all their little ones and their wives they took captive, and they plundered all that was in the houses. So these brothers were not playing around. They're very, very serious. So if you got women and kids captive, you pretty much can do whatever you want with them in some aspects, because if they're not knowledgeable or have the wisdom, how they gonna get out of those situations. And then they didn't want their sister to be treated like a whore, so they say that that's one of the main reasons here. So that's a key part But other than that, we're going to get the key points out. God bless. Have a good day.